The shortlist for this year's Women's Prize for Fiction has been announced. The competition, now into its 28th year, showcases female creativity in the written word, last year garnering a readership of 95 million people. Well, TV presenter and chair of this year's judging panel, Louise Minchin, spoke to me earlier about the prize. But first, let's take a look at the books in brief with all the judges.
Hello, I'm Louise Minchin and I'm chair of the Women's Prize for Fiction 2023. Now, my judges and I had 16 beautiful books on our long list. We had to whittle it down to just 6. They are absolutely fantastic, and we'd all like to take you through what is on our shortlist this year.
Fire Rush by Jacqueline Crooks is a brilliant celebration of black womanhood. It's a story about dub reggae, friendships, love and loss, which spans London, Bristol and Jamaica.
Trespassers by Louise Kennedy is a novel set during the Troubles in Northern Ireland, and it is ostensibly a love affair, but it also weaves in community and religion and politics, and it is a deftly woven novel which I think will astonish you.
Black Butterflies by Priscilla Morris is an amazingly written book set against the backdrop of the siege in Sarajevo, about love and loss and about where your home truly is.
Demon Copperhead by Barbara Kingsolver is a reworking of David Copperfield. It's a story of a young boy who's destined to live a life with nothing and who, despite all the odds, rises above it.
The Marriage Portrait by Maggie O'Farrell is an exquisite book. It takes you to a world that you won't have lived in. It explores extraordinary themes of bravery, of pure evil, and I absolutely loved it.
Pod by Laline Paul is about a spinner dolphin who takes great risks to save her pod. It speaks to climate change and is a wonderful celebration of family.
I was asked by Kate Moss, she invented the Women's Prize 28 years ago, and that's Moss with an E, the writer, not the supermodel. Yep. And she asked me about 12 years ago when I was on BBC Breakfast, and I knew that then that I couldn't dedicate the brain power and the reading hours that I would have to do. So I said, no, that's really lovely, thank you so much. I know it's really prestigious, but no. She kept asking over and over again. And then I eventually said, OK, when I leave BBC Breakfast, I'll do it. Guess who was the first person who emailed me when I said I was going to leave BBC Breakfast? It was Kate Moss. Wow. So she asked me again. I couldn't do it because I was going on a certain programme called I'm a Celebrity, so yes, I didn't tell her why. And then she asked again, and I said, of course, I'd love to do it. And they asked me if I would be chair, and I thought, well, you know, sometimes in life you've got to really challenge yourself. So I said yes, and it's been an amazing experience. I've loved the reading, I've loved the shortlist, I loved our long list as well. And, you know, sort of talking with these beautiful books with my fellow judges has been an absolute pleasure.
What were you looking for when you had to narrow down it to these 6? Because as you say, you have to do a lot of reading to get there. I can't imagine how you found the time to get through all of these. And you've got the books, and I love the rough edges, clearly read in the bath.
I've probably dropped Pod in the bath. Or what are you looking for? I think we're looking for narrative voice. Excellence is the thing, and what I love about these books, they're all excellent in really different ways. They have very strong stories, they deal with tough subjects, but with enormous sensitivity. And I think, you know, it's going to be hard again because we'll have come down to one, but they are all individually really beautiful.
And some of the themes, what stood out in terms of themes? Because was there anything that kept coming up in these books that perhaps was concurrent with today that you guys thought, these things are important for what the troubled world we live in now?
That's a very good point. I think some of them, for example, if you look at Pod, which is a deep dive, and I say that with a certain amount of irony because it is about the ocean, and that's written from the point of view of actually a spinner dolphin, and is very much a sort of expose of what we as humans have done to our seas and how damaging that is for the creatures that live in it. So that's sort of personal and political, and yes, the personal and political is definitely a key theme that comes through. And you know, I was a newsreader, so I know about all the headlines, and I'm much older than you, so I will remember, for example, the siege of Sarajevo. That's dealt with in Black Butterflies, and I love that book. It's the woman at the heart of it is actually a slightly older woman, and she works in academia. But I just think you know, if you mix the personal political, you know, I remember that very well as a newsreader, but you really get behind the headlines and what that means for people living through those times. And I think particularly with what's going on in Ukraine, it has had a lot of resonance. This, for example, Trespasses, which is a love story as well, is about Northern Ireland, the troubles in Northern Ireland, and again, taken from a very personal point of view. And Fire Rush, oh my
London
gosh.
story, isn't it?
London story, I think, you know, your viewers are going to love this. This just, I don't know, there's something so passionate about this. It's about dub reggae, not a music genre that I am familiar with, but...
Oh, we'll talk after. I'm very familiar with
well, you might be. And she's... these ones actually all on this side are all the debut novels, and Jacqueline is a Londoner, and this is, you know, set in the heart of London and Southall, and it's just wonderfully evocative. It's a sort of, it's also a love story, but it's also a story about going back to your roots as well. But I think Londoners are going to love that one.
You mentioned you've got to pick a winner, but I suppose that's not the most important thing about this. The important thing is that you're here today on shows like this, that you can get these voices out and show, you know, the importance of the female voice in literature these days.
And thank you for that, because this is all about amplification. This is about getting these amazing books into the hands of readers, and we're talking about male, female readers here. You know, these are not exclusive or anything like that. And what will happen to these books is that on this side we've got two people who've won, Maggie O'Farrell and Barbara Kingsolver, hugely. They've sold, you know, thousands and thousands of books, and also Laline Paul, who's also been on the shortlist. But these books are now going to go on a journey that they would not have gone on, some of them, if they hadn't been on this shortlist, and they're going to be amplified, their voices are going to be heard, and for me that is super exciting.
Yeah, it would be nice to win, wouldn't it? If you are the winner.
Actually, you know, from what I know about the Women's Prize, it's, you know, it really is. It is genuinely collegiate, and just looking at the reaction from people who were perhaps on the long list today to people who are on the short list, you know, it's about support and it's about amplifying voices, it's about celebration. So I'm sure, you know, I mean, we all love to win. I never do, by the way, but to be on the shortlist is an incredible thing.
Well, we'll talk about winning in another form in terms of sport in a sec. But, you know, you yourself, you've written a couple of non-fiction books about sort of, you know, female empowerment and yourself becoming an athlete. But fiction, is that something you're delving into, and you really think you could...
Oh, that's a really good question. Well, first of all, so we go for the non-fiction. So my new book, Fearless: Adventures with Extraordinary Women, and again, it's about incredible women doing brave, courageous things in sport. And I've gone because I mean, I could have just sat at home and interviewed them on the phone, but I thought, no, why not go and free dive under ice in Finland with amazing women who swam in the Antarctic Circle. So that's one thing. Fiction, I'd love to do it. I'm trying.
Where would you start? If
I'm not going to say, because it's a secret.
Okay.
But no, I'm having really fun trying out some stuff, and fingers crossed that might be in a book.
Oh, brilliant. Well, we hope to see you soon to promote it.
Thank you.
Let's talk about the London Marathon. Because,
thank you,
you ran it on Sunday. It was a great day. Unfortunately, the weather wasn't so great. I was down there watching in the rain, cheering on some people. You ran with your daughter, of course, which must have been really emotional for you. But talk us through how you're feeling now and how the day was. I'm not wearing trainers anymore because I'm wearing flat shoes. I'm feeling achy. I expect most people are. It was mind-blowing. London was just something that I could not have imagined. I mean, you see all the pictures on the telly, but until you run those 26 miles, and some of it walking, by the way, you have no sense. At Canary Wharf, there's just this wall of sound, and people like 20, 30 deep on either side of the road. There was no respite. It makes me quite emotional in the crowd, and that is an incredible thing. I mean, I can't thank you enough. I know you stood out there in the rain, everybody else who stood out in the rain, because you just get carried on by this wave of emotion. It was just an extraordinary day. I have done the New York Marathon, but London was just something else.